Joining me now is author and political commentator Shamika Michelle.
When God looked at man, he said it's not good for man to be alone. He gave him a woman. He didn't give him a village. He didn't give him the community. He said, be fruitful and multiply to this man and this woman. So it's supposed to be God, husband, wife.
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always got.
I had a double mastectomy at 15. They tested my amputated breast for cancer. And I was cancer-free, of course. I was perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with my still developing body or my breasts, other than that, as an insecure teenage girl, I felt awkward about it. After my breasts were taken away from me, the tissue was incinerated. Before I was able to legally drive, I had a huge part of my future womanhood taken from me. I will never be able to breastfeed. I struggle to look at myself in the mirror at times. I still struggle to this day with sexual dysfunction. And I have massive scars across my chest. And the skin grafts that they took of my nipples are weeping fluid today. And they were grafted into a more masculine positioning, they said. After surgery, my grades in school plummeted. Everything that I went through did nothing to address my underlying mental health issues that I had. And my doctors, with their theories on gender, thought that all my problems would go away as soon as I was surgically transformed into something that vaguely resembled a boy. Their theories were wrong. The drugs and surgeries changed my body, but they did not and could not change the basic reality that I am and forever will be a female.
Good afternoon and happy Monday. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining SMH, Shaking My Head with Shamika Michelle, as we continue our war on words. Because when the words change, the truth dies. So all last week and finishing up this week, we'll be taking words and phrases that and ripping the mask off. The ones that people have begun to lie about, we're going to rip the mask off and reveal the real truth. These are lies hiding in plain sight. What you just watched was a clip from Chloe Cole, who had a double mastectomy at 15 years old. She's a detransitioner who thought, as a young girl at around 11 or 12, she thought she was a boy. She thought she wanted to live as a boy. So she began taking hormones and had her breasts removed at 15. When she realized the mistake she made and wanted to detransition, she also goes into how the medical community, the trans community, everyone who was pushing her as a child to have this surgery turned against her, started calling her transphobic, and just made it really hard. They like to say that it's less than 1% that decide to detransition. But she tells a really great story, her and other detransitioners, of how there's really no support and there's no real good statistics of how many young kids actually regret having these surgeries, because typically they don't go back to the same clinic or doctor that actually did the surgery in the first place, because now they don't trust them, and also these doctors don't support them going back the other way. In the YouTube description, I have linked an interview that I participated in with her and another detransitioner, Luca Hine. And it's just a very good interview. And so I feel like I have secondhand experience actually having had these conversations with some trans people. And so if you want to see that full video, it's in the description. But today we are going to discuss the whole idea that gender affirming care is a thing. It's not. It's not real. It's one of these things that they're trying to put a soft label on to make it sound good, but it's not actually what they claim it is. It's madness masquerading as medicine. But hello to everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, Kayla Rain. Hey, Asino, passionate dreamer. Please do what Passionate Dreamer is telling you to do and hit the like button and please share. Hello, Graham's Cougar. She calls you all fellow head shakers. Yes, these are things that make us shake our head. Hi, Miguel. Thank you for being here. And Miguel, thank you for always telling people about the show. I really, really appreciate that. Before we get into gender affirming care and how it's nonsense, there are some other words that just have some honorable mentions for me that I want to just take a moment to discuss. One of the words I hate is bussy, B-U-S-S-Y. Now, I know that this word is supposed to insult men who like men, and you are putting the word P-U-S-S-Y, I guess, with butt, so you're calling it a bussy when they, have sex, anal sex. But I want you all to know you're insulting the gay men, but you sound gay using it. Okay? I need y'all to stop using the word bussy. It sounds really gay. So I understand you're trying to insult gay men, but just go out, just say what it is. Okay? It's anal sex. They're do it in the butt. I mean, whatever. Just please stop saying bussy. It sounds so gay. Okay, that's the honorable mention. We're not going to break that down. But before we get into gender affirming care, some words that I just can't stand. The second word is zaddy. Zaddy. Y'all sound gay saying that. Zaddy comes, this is what they try to insult Black women when they date white men, and they're always calling them, zaddy instead of daddy. I don't know if Black women started saying it first. I don't know. But men, when you use it, you sound gay. Okay? Zaddy sounds real gay. Please stop using that word. Women, can you stop? For the third word, can you stop calling every man who doesn't want to come under your control because you are a Jezebel? Can you stop calling him a narcissist? Every man is not a narcissist. We're overusing the word and you're taking the power from it. Every time a man doesn't want to bow to you or come into agreement with your train of thought, he's a narcissist. I'm so tired of hearing that, women. It's overused and I'm sick of it. Diabolical. Can we stop calling everything diabolical? Y'all learn a new word and you run it into the ground. Everything is not diabolical. Oh, he stepped on my toe. That was diabolical. He went in the outdoor. Oh, it's diabolical. She said that she was going to drive to the next state. Oh, that's diabolical. Godly, y'all use the word so much. You sound ignorant. You sound unlearned. And you sound like you just learned the word 2 days ago and now you're overusing it. And we have the tendency to do that. Listen, my kids are getting sick of me saying, what the hell? What the hell? I say it a lot because, I think it's the little catchy phrase that I heard on social media, on Instagram. So I keep saying, what the hell? What the hell? Every time something is a what the hell moment, what the hell? What the hell? So I get that y'all keep using diabolical, but can we please? I know we are almost done with 2025, but let's just leave that here. I'm going to give you a few more months. Do not take that into 2026. I'm sick of it. And I'm pretty sure there are some words that y'all are sick of too. Drop it in the comments. But now let's get to gender affirming care. This BS phrase that does not mean what they're trying to make it seem it means. Okay? Hi, Shamik. I'm looking forward to your discussion today. Thank you so much. No biggie. We need to all help build your platform. I agree. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So gender, the definition is the male sex or the female sex. But let's look at the word affirm. Affirm means to state as a fact. To state as a fact. So if you are really affirming someone, you're not lying to them. Would you say that that is accurate? If I'm affirming, I'm not lying because I'm stating as a fact. We learned last week is a fact. A fact is something that can be proven as true. So coming in, having a woman cut her breast off does not make her a man. So you're not stating that as true. You're not stating it as a fact. It cannot be proven as true just because you cut a woman's breast off. On the flip side, just because you remove someone's penis will not make them a female. So in all actuality, you're not affirming. It's a lie because you are not stating this as a fact. That's the first definition. Somebody told us last week, don't Google for definitions because you need definitions that were before Obama. They have definitely started to change the meanings of words. Like in 1980, they meant something totally different than what they mean now. Racism is one of those words. The second definition for affirm is to offer someone emotional support or encouragement. Perhaps this is what they're saying when they try to claim gender affirming care, that they're offering emotional support or encouragement. But when you go to actually remove body parts, this is well beyond any type of emotional support. This is madness masquerading as medicine. Care. The definition for care is the provision of what is necessary for the health, welfare, maintenance, and protection of someone or something, typically to avoid risk or damage. To avoid risk or damage, which means you are not going to take a 15-year-old and remove her breasts and say that it's any type of care. Do you see how this doesn't make sense? Do you see how we have to come against these words? It's a war on words because when they change the words, the truth dies. They're trying to make this sound like something so harmless, something that's a loving act, something that they're doing because this person feels this way. We talked last week about truth versus my truth, and my truth is based on feelings, which is not steeped in reality. But you see how they're trying to change the meanings of things? This is mutilation. Plain and simple. I knew a young man, he was going to the 8th grade. And when you would ask him what he wanted to be when he grew up, his answer was Spider-Man. Some may say you're going to the 8th grade and you don't know that you can't be Spider-Man, but I think this is a great example of how even at that age, people can have childlike thinking or reasoning, childlike logic. Headed to the 8th grade, this young man was saying he wanted to be Spider-Man, which would show you that there are young boys and young girls who clearly are not at the mental capacity to say they want to be a different sex or gender. Going to the 8th grade, he wanted to be Spider-Man. Do you know what the adults around him did not do? No one took him up in an elevator or an escalator or the stairs to in a really tall building and said, climb out of this window and let me see you get your Spider-Man out. No one said that. Most times we laughed because he was going to the 8th grade and had no idea he could not be Spider-Man when he grew up. However, when we hear young children saying they want to be the opposite sex, we're actually taking that as something real. Instead of redirecting them and correcting them, you have grown adults deciding they may be onto something. They could have been born in the wrong body. Let me take them to start giving them the hormones to suppress puberty or keep them from going through puberty. These are supposed to be grown adults who have been given the charge of training a child in the way that they should go. Grown adults deciding this child may be onto something. Think back to your own childhood. When I look back in books as to, what Shamika wanted to be in 2nd grade or what she wanted to be in 3rd grade, memory books that my family held on to, it changed every year. I wanted to be a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, a fireman. Like, it would change. That is part of being a child. Going back to the example of this young man wanting to be Spider-Man, that's part of being a child. At one time, I thought I could be Wonder Woman. Do you know how dizzy I made myself spinning around, waiting to turn into Linda Carter? How dizzy I made myself spinning around, looking down, and still no red boots, no briefs with stars, no lasso attached to my hip. How dizzy I made myself spinning around, thinking if I just spin hard enough, if I spin fast enough, maybe, just maybe, I'd become Wonder Woman. Now, spinning around wasn't going to hurt me. Yeah, it was going to make me a little dizzy, but it made my mother know, never mind. If, as grown adults, when this young man going to the 8th grade thought he could be Spider-Man, if we had actually put him to the test, do you know we would have ended up in jail? At the very least, sitting in somebody's courtroom, having to explain the insanity of pushing such an insane idea on a child whose mental capacity was not at the point of knowing this wasn't possible. Yet, in today's America, we're doing the exact opposite. Parents who are actually saying, no, this isn't possible. You cannot change your gender. You cannot switch. A lot of them are going to jail or having to fight to keep their children from making a mistake that they can't turn back from. You don't get to just stop taking these hormones and then all of a sudden you go back to as if you never took them. That's not how it works. Once you remove your breasts, as you heard the young lady say in the video, she'll never be able to breastfeed. The doctor that performed this surgery on her at 15 should be in jail, just as any parent would who would have taken someone saying they wanted to be Spider-Man and tossing them out of a building to see if they could scale the side of the building, would have been in jail. But when they take terms like gender affirming care, a lot of nutcases buy into that. And unfortunately, a lot of those nutcases are in the medical community. If you watched Matt Walsh, What is a Woman? You would be surprised at the amount of people who spent years in school, and we know they had several biology classes, not understanding that you just can't switch. You can go through whatever surgery and procedures you need to go through to closely resemble the other sex, but you aren't really changing. It's not possible. You're not switching your chromosomes, so it's not possible. XX will be XX. XY will be XY. You can take a man who lives 20, 30 years as a female, bury him, and then dig him up. Guess what they're going to call him? A man. They're going to look at his pelvis and say, oh, that was a man. I don't care how many dresses he wore in his lifetime. I don't care if he chopped his penis off and set it on the mantle for display. When they dig him up, they're going to say that was a man. Because there are biological differences. It just is what it is. So when they try to take these terms and make it sound like care, and they're really loving these children and they're supporting these children, it's actual insanity. And we have to stop playing these word games with them. We have to stop sitting around biting our tongues as we try and figure out why this man with a 5 o'clock shadow, big burly feet stuffed into a pair of Barbie slippers, we're trying to bite our tongues, wondering, is he going by they, them, or she? When if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. I'm not biting my tongue. If I know you are Ken, I don't care if you stuffed yourself into Barbie's dress. I don't care if you stuffed yourself into Barbie's slippers and got yourself some hair clips or grew yours out. You are still Ken. And I'm not biting my tongue or stuttering over trying to figure out how to call you some other type of foolishness. Not doing it. I'm not buying into gender affirming care. It's not real. It's foolishness. And a lot of people try to say, oh, you know, we're making a big deal out of something. This is nothing. It's not happening. They try to make it seem as if it's not, that if it's happening a lot, but it's not happening. There are skyrocketing surgeries. Between 2016 and 2019, the number of gender-related surgeries in the U.S. nearly tripled. We talked last week, when you give them an inch, they take a mile. Between 2016 and 2019, gender-related surgeries in the U.S. nearly tripled. And we're in 2025. So we are just now saying, oh, you're a little boy, you want to be called princess, let's just go and do what needs to be done. We see people like Dwayne Wade parading his son around in wigs, in dresses, in eyelashes, and fake nails. And we've watched him do this to his son as a young teenager. Let him change his name, go by a girl, parading him around, making him the spokesperson. Michelle Obama sitting, having a conversation with him on his podcast. But then people wonder why people look at Michelle with a side eye. I mean, look at what you're supporting. Makes us wonder if Joan Rivers might have known what she was talking about. I don't know. I'm just saying, this is why we look at you with a side eye. You're an educated, smart, intelligent Michelle. That's what you go by. I don't know what's down there. But I do know you're supposed to be smart and educated, and you know that you can't change. You are XX or you're XY, and they don't flip-flop. In minors specifically, mastectomies, top surgery, removing your breast, have been performed on girls as young as 13. I gave you the example of a little boy going into 8th grade thinking he could be Spider-Man. They are performing mastectomies on young girls as young as 13. And I don't know, it could be younger, but 13 is young enough. At 13, I had not decided what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. That is a huge decision to make as a child. And you know what's really crazy is that we're letting kids make these decisions at such young ages, but then saying they can't drive until they're 16. They can't vote until they're 18. They can't legally drink until they are 21, but they can decide, I don't want these breasts at 13. And we don't see the craziness in that. That's insanity. Mary Floppins. Asino, you have the best sense of humor. Mary Floppins. Nick says, I would dress up in bed sheets and pretend I was a wizard, casting magic all over the house. We really believed that we could do things we couldn't do as children, as teenagers. But we are allowing kids to make such life-changing, permanent decisions at such a young age. These people should be in jail. I don't understand how we are playing with them. We have to stop. That's why this is a war on words. A 2021 systematic review showed up to 30% of detransitioners cited poor mental health outcomes or regret. So they'll tell you, oh, it's not that many that regret it. It's because they aren't talking to them. They're silencing the ones that are saying, I made a mistake. And many times they don't go back to the same clinic. The young lady I showed you in the beginning, Chloe Cole, she goes in depth about how she was treated when she decided she wanted to detransition. Again, I linked the entire interview in the YouTube description. She was treated horribly when she realized she had made a mistake. But when she thought she was a boy, when she was so sure she wanted to be a boy, everybody was, giving her a standing ovation, patting her on the back, how brave it was for her to come out at such a young age and realize who she really was. Spider-Man. Many countries, including the UK, Sweden, and Finland, have recently scaled back medical transition for minors, citing lack of evidence of long-term benefit. And when you see a lot of these surveys that say, oh, once they transition, they're happy, typically these surveys are like after 3 months. There's no 10-year survey to say how this really affects them. And the younger we allow this to happen, the more we're going to see the regret, because you just aren't mentally capable of making such a life-altering decision at these young ages. So it's not care at all, because you aren't avoiding risk or damage. So take off the care, take off the affirming. You're not affirming. You're not stating as a fact. You're still living in make-believe land. Advocates often claim puberty blockers and surgery prevent suicide. But the largest Swedish long-term study found that people who underwent gender reassignment surgery had a 19 times higher rate of completed suicide compared to the general population. And again, once you start taking these puberty blockers, you just don't decide years later, ooh, I'm going to stop it. And all of a sudden, I'm just going to become the woman or the man I should have been or I would have been had I not ever taken these to start with. So even if you stop short of having actual surgery, once you've taken these puberty blockers, year, 2 years, you don't just automatically, it's not like you never took them. That's the reality. And a lot of these people and a lot of the medical community that's supporting this foolishness, they just aren't living in reality. They are in make-believe land. They are in the land where Barbies talk. When I was young, I used to play Barbie. And we would have Barbie bouncing around, talking to Ken. This was make-believe land. A lot of them are in make-believe land. They have a warped sense of reality, yet we have put them in charge of being the experts and the smart people in the room when it comes to whether or not these children should be having these surgeries. They are children in grown-up bodies, children in grown-up bodies. They still have the thinking and the mental capacity as children. But they have MD behind their name, and we're actually acting as if they're smart. No, they were disciplined to get through school. These people are insane. And they say that regret after gender reassignment surgery is about 1%. But there's another review that says that's not the case. When Chloe talks, she'll tell you that's not the case. She knows firsthand of not just herself, but other detransitioners who are miserable and who have no support. Nothing like the support they had when they decided to make the decision in the first place. And then we're watching all of these people, a lot of these celebrities, dress their male sons up as girls. These people should be shamed. A biblical worldview. My sister and I used to play with Barbies too. If we pretend to be Barbie today, people would think we are crazy. Absolutely. Even if I sat as an adult and played Barbie. I'm going to come live today. And I want y'all to watch me. You know how we see the guys streaming, playing their games? I don't know how many people will watch me play Barbie and think I'm not insane. Andrew says confusion from the father of lies, leading the world astray. Absolutely. The father of lies. Satan is the father of lies. Miguel says in the 8th grade, I was like Beavis and Butthead. I wanted to score with some chicks. When did we start removing parts for a psychiatric issue? Exactly. This is a mental illness. And you know, I think that I have actually lost friends. I have a couple I used to be really close with. And their child dresses as the opposite sex. All of a sudden, we just stop being friends. But guess what? I'm okay with that because I'm not going to stop speaking the truth. I don't care what they claim their truth is. It's not the truth. That child isn't living in reality, but I am. So if that means I have to lose friends because I'm saying what's actually real, it just is what it is. We have to start standing 10 toes down on what's real. Because again, when the words change, the truth dies. It is a war on words. Cougar says, I think they are diabolically evil. They are. And that's when the word diabolical should be used. When it's something really evil and sinister. Not when you went to Burger King and they left the tomatoes off your Whopper. I went to Burger King, got a Whopper, and got home and my tomatoes were missing. Oh, that's diabolical. I can't take it. I just cannot take it. Everything is trauma. You know, every time I turn around, oh, that's trauma. Oh, that triggered me. This new generation, my goodness. Y'all could have never been put outside and said, you either gonna stay in or out, and you decided to stay out and drink from the water hose because you wanted to be able to, you know, play with your friends. You all could have never made it. Everything is trauma. Everything triggers you. Get weaker and wiser. Asino says, I knew a trap named Barbie. True story. Oh, poor Barbie. She's getting it today. Ray Taylor says, keep rocking and thanks for keeping it grounded in truth. I really appreciate that, Ray. I'm going to keep on keeping on. No, it wasn't Whitlock who said that about the Burger King tomatoes. Speaking of Whitlock, y'all have to go and see his response to Joy Taylor. Over the weekend, she came out in a podcast with Cam Newton telling her thoughts about Whitlock and how his cholesterol works so hard. He responded today. It was very entertaining. I think y'all should go watch that. Something else I found entertaining, I got a message of a video that Nick Fuentes put out. And I wish they got along because I would love to see them together. But Nick is saying absolutely not, no way. But Nick put out a video on suicide. And it was very good and entertaining. I saved it in case I have to send it out to a few people. Y'all should try and check that out. I found it on Rumble. Anyway, y'all, that was my rant for today. Those are the words for today. Gender affirming care. It's BS. The next time you hear it, let them know it's not real. It's not real. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we will be tackling more words or phrases. Thursday, we will probably do a wrap up if I don't have a new term. And Friday, we will not be here. Friday, there will be no live because I have to go to New York. I am speaking at a rally there and doing a debate table. If I can go live at all to show y'all what's going on, I will. If you happen to be in New York, please join me. I don't even know the name of the rally. So if you follow me on social media, I will share and post that. But again, Friday, I won't be here because I'll be traveling to New York. I have to speak. So thank you for joining me today. This particular battle may be over, but the war continues tomorrow. So join me here, same place, same time, for the next word that I'm putting under fire in the war on words. Join me tomorrow, head shakers, for the next thing that makes me shake my head. These people are insane. I guess we could say they're diabolical. I'll see y'all tomorrow.